Chapter 1. One sorry, my family tree does not have you don't touch me. The boy didn't look at her. He just carefully wiped his hand touched by her with a tissue and casually threw it in the trash can. His voice was indifferent. Bai Lian leaned against the tree, replaying the scene in her mind over and over. Her wet black hair clung to her pale neck. She wrapped herself in a black coat, yawned lazily, and then reported a number to the elderly man beside her. The elderly man adjusted his glasses on his nose bridge, happy to see that she finally remembered a number, and dialed it on his phone. The call connected quickly. "Hello, is this Song Min speaking?" "Yes." The elderly man was very polite. "Okay, Bai Lian fell into the water by accident at the lakeside of Mingtai Villa. Could you come to pick her up?" There was silence on the other end for a moment before he recalled who this name belonged to, his tone restrained and annoyed. "Don't call me again." The call was disconnected. The elderly man was stunned. Bai Lian, still seated on the rock, chimed in. My fiancé, I presume." Drenched, one might expect a desolate figure, but there she sat, with her hands crossed over her chest, leaning against a tree. Confusion shimmered in the depths of her dark eyes, like a white tiger that had nodded off in haste and woke up lazy, not knowing where it was. "What about your other family members?" She pondered for a moment. "They are hosting a banquet to celebrate the birthday of a daughter from a concubine." The old man looked at the pretty, well-mannered girl, unsure how to comfort her. "It's fine," Bai Lian cocked her head, chuckling lightly. "Thank you for saving me. I'll sit here for a while longer." He was busy with other matters, having saved Bai Lian from drowning by chance. He had initially thought the girl was determined to die, yet to his surprise, after her heartbeat stopped for 2 minutes, she woke up. She didn't seem to have any intention of committing suicide again. "Don't sit too long, you might catch a cold." He left her his phone number, took one more look at the black coat she wore, and then hurried away to catch his flight. Bai Lian put away the note, watching him disappear into the distance. She stood there for a long while before she tugged at her uniquely styled clothing and reseated herself on the rock, elbow propped on her knee, and the palm loosely supporting her chin. This body was also named Bai Lian. She had looked at her reflection in the water. She looked just like her. Her mother 2 years ago, upon finding out that her husband not only had a mistress but also had fathered 2 illegitimate children, divorced him and didn't fight for Bai Lian's custody. She left nonchalantly. The original owner of the body was unruly and undisciplined, and this time was caught cheating during the preliminary exams. While being scolded in the office by her teacher, she saw Song Min delivering homework. On instinct, the original owner grabbed her fiancé's hand, and he responded coldly and disdainfully, pulling away from her, saying that sentence, "Don't touch me." Remembering this, Bai Lian propped her chin on her hand, her fingers with distinct joints lightly resting against her cheek. What was the original owner doing with her pretty face? She tightened the overcoat with a hint of silver grass scent around her. Not strong, a bit chilly. Bai Lian looked at the solar lights shimmering in the distance, her eyes sparkling with bright stars. She just sat there on the stone, quietly observing this amazing world. She didn't know how long had passed before a blinding car light approached. She shielded her eyes with her hand to block the light. "Miss." The driver got out of the driver's seat and opened the door to the back seat of the business car. As the door to the business car opened, a graceful-looking girl in an exquisite dress, sitting on the outer side, came into view. After standing up, Bai Lian realized the back seat was not only occupied by Bai Shayaki, but also by a haughty young man sitting next to her, looking down at his phone. "Oh, Song Min." "Sister," Bai Shayaki glanced lightly at Bai Lian. She moved to a seat in the front for her and took the last 3-seater row in the back. "You sit in the front." The young man, originally looking at his phone, furrowed his eyebrows slightly. Upon seeing Bai Shaoqi moving back, he too silently put away his phone and squeezed into the back seat without a word. The driver gave Bai Lian an awkward glance. Each time this scene unfolded, the miss would become as if she were mad. Miss Master Song he. Bai Lian flicked the hair from her forehead while sorting through her memories. She didn't sit in the back but gestured for the driver to open the passenger door instead. The car headed towards the Bai family home. Min, Bai Shaoqi suddenly broke the silence in the back seat. Did you log into my account? You solved that problem using Fourier transformation. That approach won't work, I've tried it. Looking down on me, what if I manage to solve it? She reached for Song Min's phone. Song Min quickly guarded his phone. He would meticulously clean anywhere the original owner touched him, yet he didn't have any aversion to Bai Shaoqi. Then I'll help you with your duty roster. Bai Shaoqi, duty roster again. Are you complaining? Both of them were in the international class at Jingjiang Preparatory Camp, key talents of the year, and often took various competitive courses together. Bai Shaoqi was not at all inferior to any boy in the sciences. They spoke as if no one else were present, impossible for others to interject. The driver glanced at Bai Lian sitting quietly and obediently in the passenger seat, feeling a bit embarrassed. He explained to her, the software Miss and Master Song are discussing is from Jiangjing Preparatory Camp. This year there are 10 spots and they. Halfway through his words, the driver remembered that Bai Lian had cheated for this spot and immediately closed his mouth. The Bai family mansion. Bai Kaiming sat on the sofa in the living room, waiting for Bai Shaoqi and Song Min to return. Song Min came back with me to get my brother's notebook, Bai Shaoqi said to Bai Kaiming with a smile. Bai Lian ignored their pleasantries and sat down directly on the sofa, tapping the coffee table absent-mindedly with her fingertips to signal the butler to pour her some tea. After the butler served her the tea, she lowered her head and casually blew on it. You have intense study sessions and also practice the gazheng. Don't overexert yourself. Bai Kaiming gently handed the teacher appreciation card to Bai Shaoqi, speaking gently. Practice the white-robe journey. Well, these next 2 days, Principal Jian is very fond of it. Song Min was clearly surprised. You know the white-robe journey. Bai Shaoqi was modest. I've only learned a little. Bai Lian leaned back on the sofa, gathering her half-dry black hair behind her ear, gazing at the teacher appreciation card for a long while before lazily interrupting their polite chat with a tap on the rim of her cup. That appreciation card was my birthday gift from 2 years ago. Bai Shaoqi's voice paused, and she narrowed her eyes at Bai Kaiming's teacher appreciation card. Then, with a smirk that was not quite a smile, she said, Sister also learned to play the Chinese zither. Upon hearing this, Song Min, who was standing nearby, lowered his head. Everybody in Baikeng knows that Bai Lian has no real skills. Bai Kaiming cast a reassuring glance at Bai Shaoqi and then turned his gaze to Bai Lian, his voice turning cold. Principal Jian is a professor at Jiangjing University. She's very strict with her students. You have no musical talent, so it's useless for you to have it. Shaoqi is more suitable than you are. Bai Lian held the teacup, looking very harmless as she replied, No musical talent. She chuckled. Quite interesting. She had switched bodies. Did I say something wrong? Bai Kaiming's eyes were heavy, but he thought she was being evasive. You drove away 3 teachers, even fell asleep in Teacher Li's music room, and after studying for a year, tell me, do you even know how many strings a gazheng has? So that was it. Bai Shaoqi withdrew her gaze. Dad, if sister wants to learn, then let her have it. I'm going upstairs. Lowering her eyes with an openly mocking smile, she touched her sleeve, clearly disgusted by Bai Lian's behavior. It was nothing more than parroting. She went upstairs, not in the best of moods. Seeing her leave, Song Min followed her. He indifferently walked past Bai Lian, without sparing her a glance. Song Min had known since childhood that Bai Lian was his fiancé. Others said his fiancé was quite attractive, but to him, Bai Lian was just that, a title, a fiancé. In his eyes, she had no presence. She had left no impression on him in all these years. He had not the slightest interest in the very attractive Bai Lian spoken of by others. Once the two left, Bai Kaiming's face darkened, and he handed the teacher appreciation card he was holding to the butler. He looked at Bai Lian indifferently. "Why did you cheat?" Bai Lian retorted, "I didn't. The Bai family's young lady cheated." "What did that have to do with her, Bai Lian?" Bai Kaiming sneered coldly. "So you're telling me you ranked in the top 10 at school all on your own? Why is that impossible?" Bai Kaiming found her refusal to admit any wrongdoing utterly hopeless. "Come with me to the ancestral hall." The ancestral hall contained many spirit tablets. Bai Kaiming took 3 sticks of incense, solemnly paid his respects, and then said to Bai Lian, "Bai Lian, you're 18 now, not 8. When your elder brother was your age, he had already won several awards and handled several cases." He meant no sarcasm. He was simply telling the truth. When Bai Lian was in her first year of high school, Bai Kaiming also put in a lot of effort, specially arranging for her to be in the same class as Song Min to foster affection. But Bai Lian did not keep up with the international class's curriculum and fell to the regular class after the first exam. In contrast, Bai Shaoqi thrived, getting into the international class on her own merit and participating in various extra-credit competitions. Bai Lian was looking at the spirit tablets behind him, his every word treading upon her minefields. "Don't talk nonsense. Can the son of a mistress also count as my elder brother? Don't you have your own family tree? Or do you have to piggyback on mine?" she said, still in her clothes from outside, the black hair winding about her slender, pale neck. She leaned on her overcoat, against the door frame, and lightly laughed at Bai Kaiming. The family butler watched from the side, his heart racing. The recognition in Bai Lian's strikingly beautiful face as she smiled was akin to that of a highly intelligent psychopath. A scent of blood was in the air. Bai Kaiming had never been defied like this before, especially by Bai Lian, the daughter he least respected. His face turned red with anger. "Rebellious child, you're completely unreasonable." He placed the incense properly. "Not to mention competing with Shaoqi, even if you had 1/10 of her. But throughout Bai family's 200-year history, there has never been someone like you." He looked Bai Lian up and down, defining her word by word. "A cheat in exams, a good-for-nothing scholar. Repent properly in front of your ancestors, and don't come out until you realize what you've done wrong, otherwise." He looked down at Bai Lian from his superior position, as if appraising an inconsequential product. "Go back to Xiangcheng and don't ever set foot in the Bai family mansion." Ancestral shrine doors were closed. The butler's anxiety, which had risen to his throat, slowly settled down. He looked at Bai Lian, his gaze equally complex. Xiangcheng, the most remote and also the furthest city from Jiangjing on the border of Baikeng. Dirty, chaotic, a haven for crooks and criminals, the most corrupt place in the country that even lacked a high-speed train station. Bai Lian seemed contemplative as she looked at the Bai family ancestral tablets, with only 200 years of history. With complex emotions, she asked the butler, "Is white clothes still around?" White Clothes is one of the 10 most famous ancient tunes, the school song of Jiangjing University, known to any schoolchild, so the butler thought she was making conversation and replied, "Miss, why must you create such a spectacle? A person's destiny is what it is from birth. That's why some can turn their fate around even born in adversity, while others, despite being given the best conditions, merely squander their potential. The eldest young master had grown up in harsh conditions, but had become the top student in the city and went to Jiangjing University, even had a PhD supervisor, backed by the Jiangjing family. The status of the Bai family in Baiking was increasingly stable, and everyone knew the eldest young master was destined for greatness. Bai Kaiming was waiting for Bai Shayak and his sister to bring glory to the family, to enroll in Jiangjing, and hopefully even get a mention in the provincial or city annals. In contrast to Bai Lian, what isn't yours will never be yours, and the second Mrs. accomplishments today are all due to her own abilities, the butler said for a while, and then felt it unnecessary to waste time with her, and turned around. He had to deliver the letter of introduction to the second Miss right away. No sooner had the butler turned around than Bai Lian spoke in a soft voice. "Where are you taking my things?" The butler was stunned. He hadn't finished his sentence when suddenly Bai Lian reached out and seized the collar of his shirt, her slender, fair fingertips exerting just a bit of force. A clear sensation of being strangled surged through his neck, forcing the butler to bend down involuntarily. His heart felt as if it was being gripped, and he was compelled to look into her dark eyes. He vaguely remembered that Bai Lian's mother, Jai Mulan, had once been a beauty who disturbed the entire Baiking. It seemed to everyone that Bai Lian hadn't inherited the fine qualities of Bai Kaiming or Jai Mulan, and he had thought so too. But at that moment he was somewhat unsure. Bai Lian seemed to take pleasure in this for a while, then suddenly smiled again. She tightened her grip on him, asking slowly and deliberately, "Do you know what happened to the last person who provoked me?" The butler's face reddened quickly from the lack of oxygen. She let go of his throat, still unhurried, and she adjusted his collar for him, her voice soft and gentle. "You see, I was just making a little joke. What are you afraid of?" The move could be described as gentle. Yet inside, the butler felt his hair stand on end, and the alarm bells in his head were screaming wildly. He covered his neck with his hand, coughing continuously. Once again, his gaze towards Bai Lian was filled with fear. Bai Lian pushed him away and suddenly retracted her smile, like boiling water suddenly turning to ice. She picked up the letter of introduction from his hand lazily with 2 fingers, casually blew off the non-existent dust from the name card, and said with an unclear meaning, "Make arrangements. I'm going to Xiangcheng." 2 days later, Xiangcheng, the most remote border city in the country, untouched by 3 years of poverty alleviation efforts. There were no developed transportation systems here, not even many slightly taller buildings. Bai Lian stood beneath the city wall, flipping back the hood of her sweatshirt and looking up. The ancient walls, weathered through thousands of years, collapsed stones, moss thriving in the shaded areas, flanked by rows of languid banyan trees, through whose gaps light and shadow flickered and danced. She held a black backpack in one hand, and beneath her feet, 5 sticks of incense burned, their smoke spiraling into the clear sky. A little boy squatting on the ground, fixated on a large water wheel, glanced at her twice, and seeing that Bai Lian hadn't moved on, continued to stare at the water wheel. A cell phone ringtone roused Bai Lian from her reverie. "Alien, haven't you arrived yet?" It was the voice of her maternal aunt in Xiangcheng, tentative and cautious. Bai Lian scooped up her backpack and swung it onto her back. "I'll be right back." In the distance, a drop of water plummeted down, melting into the dust. She watched the incense burn down to stubs before she slapped the hood of her sweatshirt onto her head and walked toward the bus station. Outside of Xiangcheng ran a moat, split and diverted into the city. Inside the city gates, a large wooden windmill was perched over the water. As the water flowed, the windmill rotated at a leisurely pace. The little boy, Yu Guang, noticing her departure, finally decided to move, following her to the bus stop. Bai Lian stood in the shade of the trees, looking down at the little friend who barely reached her waist. Her slender fingertips rested against her phone, tapping away casually. This little friend had been following her since he got on the bus with her from the train station. His eyes were dark and bright, with a buzz cut, dressed in a white shirt, with a small blue knitted vest over it and black leather shoes, clean and tidy. Exquisite and beautiful. Everywhere was a sense of dissonance with the rundown town. "Why are you following me?" The child lowered his head, repeatedly unbuttoning and then fastening the cuff button, focusing on it as he said, "This morning. My brother gave me half a banana, half." There were no seats at this bus stop. Quite simple, not many cars on the road, just a few here and there. Bai Lian leaned lazily against the bus sign, dozing off. "I don't understand." "Oh, I'm waiting for my parents to pick me up and take me to their world," he said, still staring at a red ribbon on Bai Lian's left hand. "My brother can know where I'm at. He just can't be bothered with me." "Ah," Bai Lian tilted his head, suddenly opened his eyes to stare at him for a bit, then reached out to flick his forehead. "Then your brother is pretty cool." "Oh," the child's gaze shifted to a black car slowly approaching from across the street, silently rebelling against her last statement. Across the street, a black business Maybach. The buzz-cut driver rests one hand on the steering wheel, on high alert even in these harmless streets. He breathed a sigh of relief only when he saw the child across the street, pressing his Bluetooth earpiece. "All pull back, turn off the infrared, don't aim at the ordinary crowd." There was only a young man in the back seat, with a notebook in front of him that bore no logo, his white shirt buttoned up to the top button, with light-colored eyes and a pale complexion. He casually swiped the laptop screen, opening files. The email documents showed complex numerical formulas. He glanced over them, his thick eyelashes drooping slightly, typing comments with one hand. "Stop sending me junk." Jiang Fulai casually pressed a few keys, and a voice pop-up window appeared in the lower left corner of the computer, featuring a man in a lab coat, who complained, "I say, what did you do to those our country researchers?" "Speak." Jiang Fulai was a man of few words. "Damn," the man laughed uncontrollably, as if recalling something amusing. "Today they collectively filed a complaint against you to the Mensa Alliance. You know I can't reach the Alliance threshold. I heard from a teacher. Could this affect you?" The Mensa Alliance, a global alliance of top intellects. The entry requirements were extremely harsh, with only 100 members worldwide. Many countries didn't even have a single individual who could meet the threshold. In our country, only 3 people passed the assessment. Jiang Fulai tapped idly on the tabletop with the tips of his fingers, giving a sharp comment. "Then I wish them success." The man on the other side gave a short laugh. "Okay, I got it." Jiang Fulai turned off the computer screen, his gaze lazily moving to the window, his light-colored phoenix eyes veiling an inherent indifference. The one-way glass provided a clear view outside. The girl wore a white sweater, a bag casually slung over her right shoulder. Her left hand rested on the child's forehead. Her action revealed a glimpse of the wrist and the red ribbon tied around it, a vivid red about an inch wide, loosely wrapped twice around her pale wrist, fluttering gently with the wind. She sensed something and carelessly glanced this way. A fleeting glimpse. Jiang Fulai's fingertips paused on the black flip of the laptop. The bus abruptly entered the disrupted scene. The child looked at the bus's wavering exhaust fumes, really wanted to follow Bai Lian onto the bus, but didn't dare. So he stood still. The car opposite was in no rush, content to sit there unhurried. He unbuttoned and rebuttoned his jacket, dawdling for about 10 minutes before finally lifting his foot to walk towards the opposite car. The rear door opened automatically, and he climbed in, hands and feet working together. Young Master Jiang He, the crew-cut driver, glanced back and greeted. The little boy took a while before he let out an "oh," his reply slow, "Uncle Ming." Meanwhile, at the Bai family's residence in Baiking family conference room, the meeting was drawing to its conclusion. Bai Shiaki entered with her test papers in hand. An elder's eyes brightened immediately. He spoke up. "Shiaki is back from school. Come in quickly. We've just finished the meeting." The others all stood up to greet Bai Shiaki in turn. "You're in your senior year now, aren't you?" the elder then said to Bai Kaiming. "Kaiming, our Bai family clan fully supports you. Whatever Shiaki needs, just mention it." The Bai family lineage already spanned 200 years, but it was only with the appearance of a scholar in the first generation that their ancestral records began. This scholar was also their founding ancestor. Since then, no one of note had emerged from the Bai lineage, until Bai Shiak appeared. "Thank you, Grand Elder." "Yes, she's in her senior year," Bai Kaiming smiled, then shook his head. "However, the competition in her cohort is too fierce." Just from what he'd heard, there were already 10 individuals contending for the valedictorian title, including Song Min. "Why haven't I seen Alien?" The Grand Elder looked towards the open doorway, puzzled at not seeing Bai Lian. Talk about jinxing the moment. Bai Kaiming's mood plummeted, the smile fading from his lips. The conference room fell silent, as the others dared not speak. "Let's leave first, Grand Elder." Bai Kaiming, now riding high because of Bai Shiak, was not someone the others in the clan wanted to irk. With the meeting over, they hastened to pull the Grand Elder out. Once outside the conference room, someone explained to the Grand Elder, Bai Lian was caught cheating on an exam at Baiking High School and might be expelled. Baiking High School was one of the top 10 schools nationwide, not easy to get into. The Bai family had put in great effort to have Bai Lian admitted, only for it to lead to such a scandal. "I originally thought that a genius like Jai Mulin wouldn't have descendants who lagged behind." The Grand Elder's face showed both annoyance and scorn upon hearing the news. He sighed. "It seems that small households truly cannot stand on the same stage as us." Inside the conference room, "You did very well." Bai Kaiming took Bai Shiaki's test paper, unsurprised to see a perfect score. After signing it, he handed it back to Bai Shiaki. "Don't take your sister's behavior to heart." "I know," Bai Shiaki nodded indifferently. She never considered Bai Lian as a rival, so there was no question of harboring any grudges. Bai Kaiming then comforted his daughter. "Even though competition is fierce in your grade, if you can pass the interview with Principal Jian and receive her teaching and recommendation, you might still make it into Jiangjing." "I will do my best." Her expression was proud and ambitious. Bai Shiaki had always believed she would not end up like Bai Lian, stuck in place and looking up at others. Bai Kaiming naturally believed in her as well. He'd raised his children well from a young age, and they had never caused him any worry. He sent Bai Shiaki back to her studies. After everyone had left, the butler came in to refill Bai Kaiming's teacup. Picking up the cup for a sip, Bai Kaiming suddenly thought of Bai Lian, his expression turning cold. "Where is she? Hasn't she admitted her wrongs yet?" The butler knew that she referred to Bai Lian. He dared not speak. Setting down the teacup, Bai Kaiming picked up the phone on the desk and said coldly into the receiver, "Tell Bai Lian to come to the conference room to see me." Bai Kaiming finished speaking and hung up the phone. Since ancient times, Jiangjing has always been the capital, the economic center of Asia. Most of the country's inherited major families are located in Jiangjing. Centering on Jiangjing, 4 cities in the southeast, northwest form a clear-cut circle of power and nobility, which to this day remains a chasm that one cannot cross. Almost everyone strives from birth to attend Jiangjing University, that emblem of status and identity. And Xiancheng, a border town inhabited by all sorts of people, swarming with international fugitives, where countless people go missing each year. And most people earn a fixed salary, their lives set in stone once they enter the city. Naturally, Bai Kaiming didn't think Bai Lian would go there. Businessmen prioritize profit, and his love for Jai Mulan had been wearing thin day by day. Accordingly, Bai Lian's status fell day by day. Even ordinary families can't treat everyone equally, let alone a grand household like the Bai family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been unaware that Bai Lian had left the Bai family long ago. The servants downstairs were also restless upon receiving the call, not understanding Bai Kaiming's intention, only exchanging worried glances. Where could they find another young miss to bring back? Shortly after, the servant who answered the phone nervously went upstairs to knock on the study door. "Where is she?" Bai Kaiming glanced at him. The servant was on the verge of tears. "The young miss, she." Butler Bai was by the side, his voice hoarse and his expression complex as he explained, "Sir, the young miss. She set off for Xiancheng that night. As for the ancestral hall, she didn't even give it a glance." The study instantly fell into a cold silence. "Good, very good indeed." Bai Kaiming's face was as grim as water, and he said indifferently, "Since she's so determined, let her transfer her household registration out too. From now on, whether she lives or dies, whether she is honored or disgraced, it has nothing to do with the Bai family." Bai Lian had caused trouble before, and there were times when Bai Kaiming and Jai Mulan indulged her. But now, she might be overestimating herself, truly believing that the Bai family would go to Xiancheng to beg her to return. Bai Kaiming's rage, naturally, couldn't be concealed from others. Soon, the grand elder of the clan came to know of the matter. "Forget it, don't bother, let her seek her own fortune." The grand elder waved his hand, not concerned as long as Bai Shayok's name remained in the family register. "It's just a shame about that mentorship pledge, a cow chewing on a peony." When the Bai family first learned of Bai Shayok's existence, the Grand Elder personally made 3 respectful visits to invite him back to the Bai family. But Bai Lian's departure was of little consequence to the Bai family. In the hearts of Grand Elder and the others, Bai Lian was even less significant than that mentorship pledge. By the time Bai Lian received the message from the Bai family's servant, she had already arrived at her uncle's neighborhood. She dismissed the message without a care. Bai Lian's uncle lived in the old district of Xiancheng. Unlike the high-rise buildings in the center of Baikeng City, this neighborhood was quite run down. Her uncle's family lived on the 5th floor with no elevator, and the stairwell was dark and unlit. When she knocked on the door and entered, her aunt in a skirt stood up to greet her, her eyes clearly seeking favor as she reached out to take Bai Lian's suitcase. "Alien is here. Why didn't you call so I could help you with your luggage?" Bai Lian didn't hand it over, and her aunt chuckled awkwardly, stepping back. Bai Lian looked up, "Hello." A face that was languid, yet strikingly distinctive. Jai Auntie instantly felt that the shabby 100-square-meter home and the dim stairwell were utterly mismatched with her niece. "Let's eat first, alien. This is your grandfather, you probably haven't met him before. Your uncle is still teaching students to paint. He won't be back until the evening. Do you remember your eldest uncle?" Jai Auntie was very enthusiastic, and she introduced Bai Lian to her grandfather sitting on the couch. Bai Lian's gaze settled on her grandfather. Her grandfather, Jai Heng. According to the original owner's memory, Jai Mulan had a poor relationship with the Jai family and had only returned once in many years, standing at the door for a long time. Jai Heng had not opened the door at that time, nor had he seen them. This was their first meeting. Jai Heng sat on the fabric sofa, his eyes fixed on the TV playing news, with reading glasses on his nose. His jacket, though washed and slightly faded, was embroidered with extremely delicate patterns. He sat with a straight back, holding an old smoking pipe in his hand. After the aunt went to the kitchen and quite a while passed, Jai Heng finally spoke in a muffled voice. "Has your mother been in touch with you these past 2 years?" Bai Lian looked at the exquisite embroidery on his body. She sat down on the couch with her eyes lowered and legs crossed, appearing docile and harmless, though her fingers idly twirled a red ribbon. No. The original owner's mother had been out of touch for 2 years already. Jai Heng nodded, lowered his head to silently draw a puff from his dry pipe, and said no more. Bai Lian obediently sat for a while, but when she saw no one paying attention to her, she casually leaned against the couch and lazily took out her phone to browse the news. The lunch was bountiful, all to Bai Lian's liking. "Have you transferred your school registration yet?" In the midst of silence, Jai Heng inquired. "It's being processed. It should be transferred in a couple of days. When your uncle comes back, have him help you contact the teachers at Xiangcheng Middle School." The aunt felt something was amiss. "School records? What school records?" "I've transferred to Xiangcheng to attend school." Bai Lian had only eaten a few bites of white rice before she put down her chopsticks. "I've left the Bai family." Aunt's mind buzzed. "Left? What do you mean by left?" Bai Lian pulled out a tissue and wiped the corner of her mouth, her tone nonchalant. "It means I was kicked out, and I need to transfer my household registration too. I can't go back anymore." "What?" Aunt's voice was a bit shrill. "What about your dad?" Bai Lian looked at her with an "you tell me" expression. She didn't see any joke on Bai Lin's face. Aunt didn't eat much. She was distracted and didn't know what she was thinking about and couldn't resist taking out her phone to search. She didn't know what she saw in the news, but her expression turned sour, and she didn't even wash the bowls. Uncle Bai Lian came back quite early, and before he had a chance to greet Jai Heng, he was pulled into the room by Aunt. The soundproofing wasn't very good, and from the room came the muffled voice of Aunt. "Jai Shaojun, did you already know she would be staying here and had me prepare a room for her?" "Keep your voice down." Uncle Jai's voice was low. "Dad and Alien are outside." "But did you see the size of our house?" Before long, the two came out. "All right." Jai Heng picked up the pipe that was set aside, knocked it on the table, making a loud noise. His wrinkled face showed no expression. He bowed his head to light it, and the smoke blurred his features. "Alien, come to my place." Jai Shaojun looked toward his father, opened his mouth, but knew once Jai Heng decided something, no one could change his mind. Aunt paused for a moment. Then, smiling, she touched her hair. "Dad, why don't you stay for dinner?" "No." Jai Heng exhaled a ring of smoke, looking over at Bai Lian. "Come back with me." Jai Shaojun was a step behind Jai Heng, waiting for him to leave first. Then he turned to his wife. "Shen Qing, listen to yourself. What did you just say?" "Alien just got back today. Is it appropriate to say those things?" After many years of marriage, his wife wasn't without emotional intelligence. He didn't understand why she intentionally made Jai Heng and Bai Lian hear those things. "I made it a point to let your dad hear it. Everyone in your family acts the same. If I don't talk straight, your dad won't understand a word." Shen Qing picked up a rag, her voice tinged with sarcasm. She was boiling with irritation. She knew all too well the kind of person her niece was. Getting into fights, drag racing, bar hopping, she didn't miss a beat. Jai Mulin had a falling out with Jai Heng when she was 18, and nobody in the Jai family knew she had married into a wealthy family. Shen Qing had secretly seen it on Jai Shaojun's phone before. The Bai family had never acknowledged the Jai family as their poor relations. They hadn't visited Xiangcheng once. She had hoped that, with Bai Lian's return to Xiangcheng, there might be a chance for her to socialize with the Bai family. Who could have known that Bai Lian was just like Jai Mulin, falling out with her wealthy father as well. I'm asking you, isn't she a senior like Wangshuan? Are we going to continue supporting her if she doesn't get into university next year? One Jai Mulan, one Jai Sheorong, you won't let them lend a hand, yet you're cleaning up after her. The more she thought about it, the more she felt wronged. She continued, your family always tries to act above it all, but can you eat pride? No wonder the Bai family favors that illegitimate child. This isn't about pride, it's about principles, Jai Shaojun said as he opened the front door, glancing at Shen Qing before going downstairs. And don't compare that illegitimate child with Alien. Shen Qing stood there, her face cold, tossing the rag into the sink. Had she said anything wrong? Even Bai Lian's own mother abandoned her like an old shoe. She was just lucky to be born into a family with some protection. How could she compare to the highly intelligent, illegitimate child of the Bai family? She didn't understand. What were Jai Heng and Jai Shaojun holding on to? Outside, Jai Shaojun quickly caught up to the two others, silently going to pick up Bai Lian's suitcase. Bai Lian paused. She looked at Jai Shaojun for about 10 seconds before letting go. Jai Shaojun hoisted the suitcase. Bai Lian watched his retreating figure for a long while before buckling her hat. She followed behind, leisurely searching on her phone for something that interested her. A new message popped up from one of the original owner's rowdy friends, and she replied. The original owner didn't have many friends, mostly rich kids with nothing better to do. This was the only one who had contacted her in the past couple of days. Rowdy friend, what's with your fiancé? As she spoke, she sent a screenshot. Bai Lian clicked on the image, revealing a WeChat moment screenshot. By Shayaki, this is the price you pay for underestimating others' playful image. The photo showed her distinguished fiancé sideways, holding a rag and wiping a window. It was apparent that Bai Shayaki was well liked, with lots of responses, likes, and comments beneath the photo. In Baikeng City, who wouldn't recognize Song Min, the third young master of the Song family? Delightful to see, our young master Song has descended to the mortal realm. Only you could do this, goddess. Haha, insider here. Song Min always defies fate, but doesn't he forget that Shayaki is Bai Kaiming's little sister? Right, he must think Shayaki is that young lady who couldn't last a day in our international class, did too poorly in sciences, and then was booted out to study liberal arts by our homeroom teacher in frustration. What? She used to be in the international class. Confused face. How did she get in there? Listen to me. Class 2 is the real victim here, being dragged down by an aircraft carrier. Class 2 class representative. It's so annoying. Our humanities class grades were dragged down by her, and this time it's even better, she scored 0. She cheated alone and our whole class has to face the ridicule. Bai Shayaki replied to Class 2 class representative. Sister has already gone to Xiangcheng. This is the entire content of the screenshot. The original owner didn't add Bai Shayaki on WeChat, nor did they add Song Min. The friend then messaged Bai Lian. I'm so pissed, she just deliberately replied to that message from the Class 2 representative, and everyone is spreading it like crazy. What's really going on? Are you actually in Xiangcheng? Bai Lian, as you can see, I'm in Xiangcheng. The friend, are you a fucking idiot for going to that back of beyond place? The friend. Bai Lian smile. The friend, you send me a smile. Miss Bai isn't too familiar with modern people's smiles. She typed a question mark and went back to the search engine, looking up topics of interest. Jai Heng doesn't live in a complex. He lives on Purist Street. In an undeveloped slum of Xiangcheng, there is a large area of bungalows, dark and damp, with a street outside, a no-man's land, full of bars and black markets at the end of the street, very chaotic. The river that faces Purist Street from afar, marks the boundary between two countries. This area is particularly chaotic. Most of the time, even the police don't dare to interfere. Today, however, a few patrolling officers can be seen, with small bulges at their waists indicating they are armed. Jai Shaojun glanced over and was surprised. Is someone patrolling today? It has been like this for some time now, Jai Heng replied, holding his tobacco pipe as he walked toward an alley. Jai Shaojun nodded. Having patrolling officers around was better, at least it ensured some safety in the area. After all, Bai Lian's face was quite dangerous in this part of town. The alleyways here are narrow and dimly lit, with cobblestone paths and heaps of uncollected trash lying around bends. Stepping on the stones sometimes squeezed out black water, a stark contrast to the brightly lit Bai King. Bai Lian remained quiet throughout, not commenting on the conditions here. After winding through several alleys, they finally arrived at Jai Heng's residence, with low houses all around. Jai Heng took out his keys to open the gate to a small courtyard. The courtyard wasn't big. In the middle was a Chinese parasol tree, with a stone table beneath it and a well. Jai Heng, with his pipe in hand, pointed to the room on the right. That's where your mother used to live. You'll sleep there. The conditions are what they are. If you're not comfortable, you can head back to the Bai family. Having said that, Jai Heng turned and entered his own room. Jai Shaojun gave Bai Lian a comforting smile, relieved to see she hadn't objected, and then brought her suitcase inside. The room was old, but everything inside had been well preserved and was clean. Bai Lian opened her suitcase and took out a pile of books, placing them on the desk near the window. Alien you. Jai Shaojun thought her suitcase would contain her clothes or women's cosmetics, but it was filled with books. He paused for a while before saying softly, "Don't worry about school. We'll figure something out." He went out to look for Jai Heng. Bai Lian sat with her legs crossed at the table, flipping through books, and pulled out a math book that interested her the most. From math to geography and politics, then to English, which was the language she least wanted to look at. She briefly skimmed it before turning to the last subject. History. The original owner studied liberal arts and took history. After about 5 minutes, she pulled out one of the history books. A test paper that was tucked inside fell to the floor. Bending down, she picked it up, but her eyes caught on a question from the paper. 20. Briefly describe Liang Xuan's corvée system and its impact on the long-term stability of the Great Yang dynasty. Why did his death push the coup of Emperor Jiang Wu to its peak? Snap. Bai Lian suddenly tucked the test paper back into the history book. Her breathing became rapid, her fingertips deforming the book with their grip, the rounded edges of her nails turning white as her long eyelashes lowered, covering her trembling eyes. "Do you want me to accompany you?" Jai Shaojun, seeing Bai Lian about to leave from a distance, came out from inside and then explained, "It's quite confusing around here. Shen Qing and the others can't remember the way." Bai Lian stretched her hand to pull on the hood of her sweatshirt and shook her head. "All right," Jai Shaojun noticed she seemed somewhat silent and guessed she might be upset because of the Bai family. He softened his voice. "Don't go far. Call me if you can't find the way and be careful." "Okay." Bai Lian walked back the way she came. Her memory was excellent. Despite the complex routes, she wouldn't forget once she'd walked them. In the past, she had drawn many of the maps used by the military. 2 yuan. The middle-aged man at the small street-side shop handed her a bottle of mineral water and wiped the sweat from his forehead with the towel around his neck. "Young lady, you're not from around here, are you?" Her appearance was striking, and she had a distinctive aura. Her outstanding figure clearly set her apart from ordinary people, and the shop owner could tell she wasn't a local. Purist Street was part of the old city district, a 3-meter-wide bluestone path. At the end of the street were gambling dens, black markets and bars, a jumbled mess of the good and bad. A kilometer further on, it got even more complicated, the border between two countries. A lawless zone where it wasn't rare for someone to disappear. Bai Lian nodded. She used her Huawei smartphone to scan and pay, her gaze falling on the massive branches of the banyan tree next to the shop. The banyan tree was in the temple ahead, and its stout branches enveloped the neighboring low-rise houses beneath its canopy. A 3-meter-long street was lazily crossed by one of the tree's branches. Several strips of red silk hung from it. The tree god is over 1,300 years old. The shopkeeper continued moving the mountain of boxes piled up outside his shop and explained when he saw Bai Lian looking at the banyan tree. It's our guardian deity. If you want to take a look, just walk 2 steps forward and you'll see the main entrance to our tree god temple. Bai Lian's long hair fell gracefully to one side as she leaned against the wall to look at the tree trunk, a hint of laziness in her eyes. Over 1,000 years, huh? She felt several gazes upon her. The shopkeeper put down a box and turned around, involuntarily tightening his grip on the towel around his neck. A few people appeared on the street. It wasn't too hot, but the leader wore a white tank top. The man in the white tank top approached, initially not concerned. But after glancing at Bai Lian's exquisite face that many would find tempting to conquer, he casually took a box of cigarettes from the shopkeeper's store and asked as he pulled one out and bit it, "Who is she?" The shopkeeper was stunned for a moment, then nervously said, "She's my niece." "You don't have a damn niece," the man in the white tank top scoffed, kicking him aside and getting closer to Bai Lian. The shopkeeper was kicked away. "There are patrols these days, you." Several underlings gathered around him. They were obviously quite adept at dealing with such situations, not taking Bai Lian seriously and standing aside, relaxed, enjoying the drama unfold. Bai Lian glanced at the man in the white tank top. "You're looking for me." The man felt a jolt in his chest as he took a big step forward. He sized up Bai Lian from head to toe, his gaze as slimy as a venomous snake, lighting his cigarette. "Do you know that you have to pay a protection fee to walk on Purist Street?" "Protection fee?" Bai Lian nonchalantly flicked a leaf off her shoulder. She turned her head and smiled sweetly, her eyes twinkling like stars. Sweet and adorable, yet stirring a strong desire to conquer. "Yeah," the man in the white tank top, unable to hold back, reached out to touch Bai Lian's face. At that moment, Bai Lian twisted the empty bottle and threw it into the trash can. As she turned, she grabbed the man's arm reaching toward her, exerting great force to fold it, then grabbed his hair from behind. The man in the white tank top let out an agonized scream just as he tried to resist, but his head was suddenly slammed against the wall behind him. With a thud, his head was smashed hard against the wall. Blood immediately seeped from his forehead. The man in the white tank top contorted his face in pain, and to his horror, found himself unable to move. He could only widen his eyes in shock as he looked at her. "You." Bai Lian held his hair in her hand, lazily smiling as she used massive force to slam his head against the wall again. Bang! Another sound, more blood flowed out, and the man's vision began to blur as he lost the ability to resist. He was like a rabbit, helpless in her grasp. Nobody doubted his fighting skills. He was the toughest in the area, which was why he was the boss. The 3 underlings shrunk back to the side. Bai Lian withdrew her gaze. Her attention returned to the man in the white tank top. She was actually a bit curious about the taste of tobacco that so many in this world seemed to enjoy. In the frightened gaze of the man in the white tank top, Bai Lian took his cigarette pack, methodically pulling one out. With her rosy lips gently biting the tip, her eyelashes casually drooped as a nearby underling immediately stepped forward to light it for her. Her hair slightly disheveled, She exhaled a thin stream of smoke from her mouth, casually holding the cigarette between her clean, slender, and pearly white fingers. With her other hand, she lazily held the man's hair as his blood dripped down his face, drop by drop to the ground. She lazily flicked the ash. So, now, do you still want that protection fee? Bai Lian lazily tilted her head. Her left hand, grasping her hair, faintly revealed a streak of crimson, the smoky haze softly blurring her exquisite and radiant features. It was a kind of breathtaking beauty. Yet reflected in the eyes of the man in the white tank top was Bai Lian's quasi-smiling face, and he could no longer harbor any other desires. He couldn't speak, only shook his head frantically in terror. Is that so? Bai Lian let go of his hair. The smell of smoke was not to her liking. She lazily tossed the cigarette on the ground and stamped it out. Know how to clean up a scene. Her polite demeanor genuinely frightened others. They nodded obediently. Bai Lian dusted off her sleeves, glancing at them before leaving, and said lightly, "What are you scared of? It's not like I chopped off your heads." Her attitude was very laid back. Of course, only if she hadn't spoken with the same tone one would use when chopping up cabbages. Only after she left did the man in the white tank top slump against the corner of the wall, fearfully moving his numb fingertips. It took his younger brother a long time before he dared to quietly move over, squatting at his feet, and lighting a cigarette to quell the shock. Why did you provoke her? The man in the white tank top. 15 minutes later. When two patrollers came back around, they stared dumbfounded at the entrance of the small store on Purist Street. The rather troublesome gang leader with some backing was nursing an injury, diligently helping the shopkeeper sweep the floor, move objects around. The other lackeys were also busily engaged in work. What are you looking at? The man in the white tank top, clutching a cigarette, glanced at the two officers and grumbled irritably, "Damned cops." After cursing, he continued moving boxes. The shopkeeper standing nearby, trembling with fear, was just about to lend a hand. The man in the white tank top returned the money he owed the shopkeeper for cigarettes, looking fierce and menacing. "Did I ask you to clean up?" He continued unloading the goods, unable to understand even after a puff on another cigarette. What, is she crazy? How can she smile so sweetly and fight so savagely? The man in the white tank top thought expressionlessly. She even wanted to chop off his head. Not far away. "Hello, Captain." The young officer watched the small shop warily, took out his walkie-talkie with a grave expression. "Yes, request a thorough check on the owner of the small store at 112 Purist Street. No, I'm not joking." It wasn't yet dark when Bai Lian got back. Jai Shaojun was just stepping out to look for her. He noticed that after a short outing, Bai Lian seemed to be in a better mood again. Jai Shaojun felt a bit more at ease, knowing life in Xiangcheng Baikeng varied greatly. He truly feared Bai Lian might struggle to adjust. Bai Lian sat at the stone table, her hand lazily propping up her chin, watching Jai Shaojun make several trips to fill the home's water tanks, then suddenly spoke up, "Uncle." Jai Shaojun set the water bucket next to the well. Startled by Bai Lian's voice, he paused. Bai Lian had only visited Xiangcheng twice with Jai Mulin before, and this was the first time she had called him uncle. "Yes," his voice suddenly rose, "what is it?" Bai Lian blinked her large eyes, looking very docile. "I want to switch to science." "She didn't say I think. She said I want." "Ah," Jai Shaojun picked up the rope for drawing water, his thoughts turning over. "Can you tell your uncle why?" He knew Bai Lian was studying liberal arts. The gap between the liberal arts and science courses was vast. Science was especially brutal with logical reasoning and clearly defined difficulties, where not knowing one thing meant not knowing it entirely. Bai Lian smiled. Jai Shaojun and Jai Heng did not talk much, but in their treatment of Bai Lian, there was a distinct sense of caution and probing. This gave her a sense of acceptance and recognition in a strange world. She didn't dislike it, she even felt a bit of belonging. Of course, she didn't understand why the original host abandoned such good family members and died in the lake for a few unrelated people. No particular reason, Bai Lian titled her head and asked again, "Can't I, uncle?" Jai Shaojun, "Good, you can, leave it to me." Watching Jai Shaojun's retreating back as he went to find Jai Heng, Bai Lian withdrew her docile gaze and smiled lazily with her chin propped up. Being alive seemed not too bad after all. "That's your reason for agreeing." Jai Heng held a bolt of fabric, looking at Jai Shaojun, his deeply lined face showing a look of incomprehension. There weren't many people in the courtyard, besides the kitchen to the left. There was also a small storeroom, filled with brightly colored fabric despite being somewhat aged. Jai Shaojun would help Jai Heng clean whenever he had time. He let out a sheepish laugh, adjusted a dust cover and muttered quietly, "But she called me uncle." "Nonsense." Jai Heng's face tightened with sternness, his authority undiminished. "She's in her 3rd year of high school and knows no better, do you not? Switching from liberal arts to science at this stage, is that a joke?" Switching subjects in the senior year of high school was quite an absurdity indeed. His son was highly intelligent, so why be so muddled on this matter? Jai Shaojun was also puzzled by Bai Lian's sudden change of heart. She had been out, came back in a good mood, and then suddenly wanted to switch subjects. He silently continued with the task at hand, then suddenly recalling something, he hesitantly spoke up. "The 2 illegitimate sons from the Bai family, aren't they all studying science?" Bai Shaok became the top scholar in the city last year and was admitted to Jiangjing University. The Bai family had made quite a stir online. Even here in Xiangcheng the news spread, and people said the illegitimate daughter was exceptionally good in the sciences. As Jai Heng caressed a piece of fine satin, he heard this but didn't immediately respond. His hands were already lined with deep, rugged wrinkles. After a long while he said, "Her temperament." "Dad," Jai Shaojun had some regrets about bringing it up, "I think Alien has become more sensible this time. She's thoughtful, a late bloomer. You should give her a chance, let her retake the exam next year. She might still achieve an ideal score." Of course, he was just casually mentioning it. He knew what his niece was like. If she could quietly finish her senior year, that would be quite an achievement. Their family didn't expect her to come back with any top scholar honors for them. If she was happy, then they would let her be. Whether she studied literature or science didn't matter. Jai Heng turned around and cautiously pulled out a small oil paper package from the cabinet behind him. He then opened the package and drew out a slender needle. He didn't argue any further. Jai Shaojun could tell he had agreed when he saw this. As he put away the fabric, he looked at Jai Heng with the needle in hand. "Shall I help you bring out the embroidery frame?" Jai Heng did not immediately answer. After a good while, he gave a nearly imperceptible nod. "Go ahead." Jai Shaojun's eyes lit up. "Okay, I'll go right now." It was already dark. Jai Shaojun called Shen Qing to say he'd be home late and stayed to help Jai Heng tidy up the warehouse. They took out things like the embroidery frame, cleaned them, and then set them out to dry in the courtyard. He hummed a tune as he wiped down the dark-colored embroidery frame. The light in Bai Lian's room was also on. He could see her reflection in the window, reading at her desk. Bai Lian was different. Jai Shaojun felt it. Even today, when she stepped into the dark water on the cobblestones, she didn't frown at all. She was different from her mother. Suddenly, Jai Shaojun felt that Bai Lian being sent back by the Bai family might not be such a bad thing after all. Jai Shaojun was helping Bai Lian contact schools and teachers. Additionally, there was the matter of her household registration. which needed to be transferred to the Jai family. These past days, Bai Lian had been in the library. The astonishments of this era were not just limited to mobile phones and computers, but included the library too. She had never seen a library with such an extensive collection that was also open to the public. This really was a wonderful era. There was just one problem. Bai Lian looked down at the physics book beside her, then at the physics problems. After writing a couple questions, she put down her pen and murmured softly, "Now, am I finally going to start tarnishing my teacher's reputation?" She wouldn't dare to claim a deep mastery over the refined arts and sciences expected of a scholar as in the past, but at least she had become proficient. As for the knowledge in the modern era of rapid technological advancement, the original owner of the body had a mind completely empty of information. She had been reading books in the library for a few days now and could understand most of it. She felt the books she was reading were not necessarily difficult, but the problem was this. The knowledge and examples she studied, 1 plus 1 equals. The questions she was doing, prove e a pi plus 1 equals 0. Bai Lian idly pondered. Would the teachers forgive her for disgracing them in the modern world if she burnt a few more incense sticks for them when she returned? The library had a vast collection of books, but there were shortcomings. For instance, the depth of knowledge and the volume of problem sets were lacking. She hadn't come across them. Hearing her sigh, the child next to her with a paintbrush turned his head, looking at her with big, clear, sparkling eyes. "Choose C." He suddenly spoke. Bai Lian paused. She flipped to the answer key. C was correct. So she turned to him, mental calculation. On her first day at the library, she had seen this kid, a little friend who had followed her from the train station to the city gates since her arrival in Xiangcheng. Quite a fate. In the days following, both of them would appear right on time at 8 o'clock when the library opened. They studied and read together, not much for talking. The little brat shook his head. After a pause, he explained, "My brother created a rapid recollection model for these kinds of questions, using a special algorithm, whose ordinary kid memorizes rapid recollection models." Yet Bai Lian accepted this readily. "Really? Do you want some milk tea?" "No." Bai Lian didn't give him a chance to object. She leaned on the desk with a smile light as spring rain. "Oh, by the way, I've always considered you a good friend." She hesitated for a moment. "What's your name?" "Jiang He." Jiang He, as in the crane that leaves for the lone mountain and has yet to return. "Ah, Jiang He, I've always considered you a good friend." Bai Lian crumpled the piece of paper in her hand and threw it casually behind her, tapping his head. "Come on, let's go outside." The two left their seats. The paper ball smoothly landed in a red hollowed-out wastebasket in the corner. A ring came from the mobile phone in her pocket, an unlisted number. Bai Lian casually answered, "Hello." The person on the other end hadn't expected her voice to be so calm. There was a pause before the dispassionate voice said, "It's me." "Who?" Bai Lian wasn't very patient. "Bai Lian, I have more in common with Bai Shayaki. Even without her, our relationship wouldn't change." On the other end of the phone, Song Min didn't believe that Bai Lian didn't have his number. He just thought she was pretending. Pressing the center of his forehead, his voice was cold and exasperated. "You think it's very childish to take the master's token to Xiangcheng because of this? Huh?" Bai Lian was so angered she laughed. She had figured out who the person opposite her was. Clutching Jiang He's head, did this Song person think she had become jealous of Bai Shayaki, and that's why she deliberately took away the apprenticeship token? First of all, you need to understand one thing. The apprenticeship token was left to me by my mother. Bai Lian stepped out of the library, glancing at the milk tea shop across the road with her slightly squinted eyes that were pitch black and deep. There was a shallow defiance hiding within her clean and cold beauty. And another thing, as for my belongings, it's not just about me taking them away. Even if I burned them, what could you do about it? There was a pause at the other end of the phone where Song Min was. Bai Lian indifferently lowered her head and with a click hung up the call. After a moment of thought, she blocked the caller. Song Min had reminded her there was still a marriage arrangement between them. It was time to find an opportunity to break it off. How inauspicious. Jiang He tugged at the hem of her clothes. Bai Lian looked down, lazily pinching his cheek with her slender fingers, cool and clear as jade. You're the cutie here, now tell me, what do you want to drink? 2 minutes later. Bai Lian was queuing at the milk tea shop across the street. It was the only milk tea shop in the area, and it was rush hour for people getting off work and leaving classes, so there was a decent-sized queue. Jiang He didn't like crowded places, so he squatted by the side of the road waiting for her. It was his first time encountering a problem in life. A good friend of his offered to buy him milk tea. Of course, there was a condition. Jiang He poked his black wristwatch on his right hand, which immediately displayed a floating, lightweight, three-dimensional interface. He opened WeChat, hesitated for a long time, and finally sent a message. How to quickly learn physics. In the center of Xiangcheng, a standalone Chinese-style manor. Several people were waiting across the road. Dr. Gao, I didn't expect you to visit Xiangcheng. I just received the news yesterday, said a well-dressed elderly man, looking at the young man with exceptional politeness. If other residents of Xiangcheng were there, they would have been greatly surprised, for this elderly man was Ren Qian, a frequent figure in Xiangcheng news and one of the city's administrators. Dr. Gao was quite young and not tall, with glasses perched on his nose. Upon hearing, as if waiting for something, he glanced at Ren Qian and grunted an acknowledgement without saying much more. He was accustomed to being the center of attention wherever he was. Ren Qian's admiring gaze was the norm for him. Ren Qian knew of Dr. Gao's schedule today and came specially to meet him. Dr. Gao, I've organized a dinner at Manhua building for tonight. Do you think you'll have time? We'll see, Dr. Gao frowned slightly. All right, just let the teaching assistant know if you find the time. His answer was within Ren Qian's expectations. He was there today just to make his presence felt. Then, Dr. Gao will be off first. Before he finished speaking, ZZZZT, there was a sound. A black car stopped at the entrance of the manor across the street. Seeing the young man in a black t-shirt stepping down from the car, Dr. Gao suddenly perked up, stood up straight, and strode towards the other side. Seeing Dr. Gao's reaction, Ren Qian was taken aback and looked over. Who could make Dr. Gao wait here for 2 hours? On the other side, Dr. Gao was wearing his lab coat, squeezing his way to the entrance of the manor. Following the young man in the black t-shirt inside, he carried with him the pride of his age. Mr. Jiang, you accepted other countries into CRFS but rejected our country merely because you dislike its people. Don't you think it frivolous to let personal feelings interfere with international cooperation? As the assistant handed over the letter to Jiang Fulai, he was shocked at the forthright challenge. Jiang Fulai took the letter, ignoring him. Continuing to walk, bodyguards blocked Dr. Gao. Dr. Gao took advantage of a momentary lapse in the guard's attention to break free. As he opened his mouth wide, the assistant, sensing danger, was about to intervene. However, Dr. Gao's next words were already out, tinged with scorn and anger. Have you forgotten our university's motto that before scientific research there are no borders? You've long forgotten your original aspiration. There was a dead silence. The atmosphere was as if they had suddenly been plunged into a snowy mountain at 6,000 meters above sea level, the pressure heavy, the icy wind howling and piercing. Jiang Fulai finally stopped, raising his hand to stop his subordinates, and looked down at the other man with an unflappable air. "Who are you?" he asked. Dr. Gao had been a genius from a young age, skipping grades and returning from studies in our country at 26, participating in several global research projects. Just last year, his teacher was elected an academician. Describing him as a top-tier academic force was not an exaggeration. His resume at Jiangjing University was well regarded, and all the deans paid him some respect. Yet in front of Jiang Fulai, he was nameless. Opening his mouth, almost humiliated, he said, "Gao Jiachen." "Gao Jiachen," Jiang Fulai nodded. He had particularly pale eyes that emitted a cool mist, and his lips were also pale. He asked calmly in return, "And why would you think I need to explain myself to you?" Gao Jiachen swallowed, taken aback as he, who had always been the center of attention, stammered in confusion. "But you, it's hard for me to trust you like this." Jiang Fulai cut him off. "Do you think your trust means a lot to me?" Gao Jiachen was stunned, completely unprepared for this side of the legendary Jiang Fulai. But you do have a point. Discriminating against them alone is not right." Jiang Fulai methodically folded the letter in his hand and then bent down to elegantly slip it into Gao Jiachen's pocket, his eyes slightly downcast, cool and detached. "The envelope has the International Alliance's contact information. Feel free to lodge a complaint." He stood up straight. His black clothes gave him a lonely and unapproachable air as he strode back into the house. "Take down his name. He's permanently blacklisted from my projects from now on." The cell phone in his pocket rang. Jiang Fulai lowered his gaze. It was a message from someone who never texts him. "How to learn physics quickly." Jiang Fulai casually sent back an image and turned his head. What is Jiang He up to? His subordinate, who was always informed of Jiang He's whereabouts, said, "The young master is in the library, with Mr. Ming following him." Jiang Fulai tapped on his phone screen unconsciously, his nails neatly trimmed, and his hands showing a pathologically pale hue through which faint blue veins were visible. He nodded and then fell silent. Behind him, Gao Jiachen watched Jiang Fulai's retreating figure in alarm. This time he was truly panicked. Jiang's young master, Jiang. He wanted to catch up with Jiang Fulai, but if his bodyguards let him succeed again, they wouldn't need to show their faces before Jiang Fulai tomorrow. Gao Jiachen was muffled and dragged away by the bodyguard. The assistant nonchalantly took note of this person's name. Outside, Ren Kaiyan and the Secretary General were still by the roadside. He watched Dr. Gao enter the manor and then get thrown out shortly afterward. "Get in the car." Ren Kaiyan turned to leave before he saw Dr. Gao. "Mr. Ren, who was that?" The Secretary General opened the car door for Ren Kaiyan to enter. He looked across at the old building, astonished, barely catching Dr. Gao's reference to Jiang's young master. CRFS is an engineering project by a dark matter cooperative group. Jiangjing Chou's old bomb shelters left in Xiangcheng to build the Research Institute, located 2,900 meters underground, making it the deepest dark matter research institute in the world, currently undergoing evaluation and acceptance of its associated projects. Due to its high level of secrecy, even Ren Kaiyan, as the highest administrator in Xiangcheng, didn't know the specific interior list. He had gotten in touch with Dr. Gao, a teaching assistant, through someone he knew. "I don't know, the CRFS project is highly confidential and that person inside." Ren Kaiyan pondered for a moment, his surname. Dr. Gao called him Jiang's young master, so his surname is Jiang. The Secretary General began, but suddenly his eyes widened in realization. "No wonder." Ren Kaiyan looked out the car window, his voice distant. "Contact Dr. Gao's teaching assistant again tomorrow, and hope he didn't see us." The Secretary General wasn't sure if Dr. Gao had seen them. If Dr. Gao knew they had seen him in such a disheveled state, befriending him would become an uncertain prospect. "We'll see," Ren Kaiyan sighed lightly, recalling another issue. Why did Sheorong suddenly take leave? He didn't even meet with Dr. Gao with me today. He went home. The Secretary General looked down at the schedule in his notebook. Mr. Jai said he went to pick up Miss Wangshuan to visit her grandfather. Upon hearing this, Ren Kaiyan expressed no opinion. He wasn't familiar with the Jai family affairs. The Jai family had only appeared once at his daughter's wedding, and he only cared about one thing: why go back at this time? He usually only returned home for holidays and festivals. Sheorong was also an intellectual, and Ren Kaiyan had intended to take him along to converse with Dr. Gao. However, he had taken a leave today. Ren Kaiyan was already dissatisfied with him, and now his expression grew even more indifferent. It seems he heard that a niece has returned. Ren Kaiyan no longer inquired. He had little interest in the Jai family's affairs. To them, the Jai family was simply too ordinary. The Secretary General chuckled. When the Ren family's only daughter, Ren Jiawei, had taken a fancy to the poor young man Jai Sheorong back then, not a single person in the Ren family had agreed given the vast difference in their social status. However, 20 years had passed, and the Jai family had been quietly compliant. In all of Xiangcheng, hardly anyone knew that the ordinary poor kid from Purist Street, Jai Sheorong, had successfully married into the Ren family. Low profile, well-behaved. Uncompetitive, yet without much presence. On Jiang he sighed. He squatted at the edge of the road. Jiang Fuli's reply was prompt. Image, JPG. Only one image. Jiang he opened it. The cover of a physics book from Jiangjing University that someone had helped to write. Bai Lian returned to see the blue fluorescent three-dimensional display on Jiang He's watch and handed over the milk tea. "What's this?" She'd bought an extra-large cup, and Jiang He couldn't take it with just one hand, so he used both hands to hold it. Bai Lian bent her head and saw the cover of a book. Physics at Jiangjing University. "This book," Jiang He said slowly, his expression somewhat reluctant, "is quite amazing." Bai Lian nodded, pulled out her cell phone to take a photo of the cover, but when she opened the camera, the image on the kid's watch wasn't visible. What kind of black technology was this? The two fell silent for a few seconds, and then added each other on WeChat. Jiang He's phone finally had a seventh contact. The two sat by the roadside, staring intently at the passing cars. "It really is magical," Bai Lian said with her hand on her knee, tapping her fingertips rhythmically, her other leg casually bent. "I read about the vehicle electrical systems. The book said that when electrified, the rotor's magnetic field can make the stator generate alternating current, but still, it's magical." Bai Lian was interested in everything modern, and she could visualize her electrical system with her eyes closed. But she didn't know the principles behind it. For the past few days, after finishing their studies, the two would sit by the roadside and watch cars. Jiang He hugged the milk tea, tilting his head to look at her. "All right," Bai Lian glanced at WeChat. Her grandfather was asking when she would return. She inserted the straw into Jiang He's milk tea, stood up and patted his head. "I'm off, see you tomorrow." She boarded the number 12 bus. Jiang He squatted in place, hugging the milk tea while drinking it, and watched the number 12 bus wobbling away. A car silently stopped in front of him. The car door opened, and a crew-cut man stepped out from the driver's seat. Jiang He climbed into the back while the man buckled him in. He spoke, "Uncle Ming." Ming Dengheng didn't expect him to initiate conversation, and with a tough guy face, couldn't muster a gentle expression. "What is it?" Jiang He said slowly, "Can I go back with Sister Bai Lian?" Ming Dengheng. He replied expressionlessly, I'll ask the young master. The question is, wouldn't taking you back scare her parents to death? She kindly played with you. Why would you repay kindness with ingratitude? On Purist Street, at the Jai family's home, a middle-aged man stood in the courtyard, looking down at the brown, antique embroidery frame. Dad, you've been looking for half an hour, the girl dressed in Xiangcheng Middle School's uniform, who was playing with her phone at the stone table, was bored stiff. When are we going home? The man in a black suit, upon hearing this, did not turn around. Wait for your cousin to return. Don't I just have one cousin? Asked Ren Wongshuan in surprise. She hadn't visited the Jai family often since she was a child and wasn't familiar with the Jai family's affairs, but she remembered having only one uncle and one cousin. Yes, and you have an aunt, said Jai Xiaorong succinctly. While they were talking, Jai Heng came out from inside and handed Ren Wongshuan a small gift box. Thank you, grandfather. Ren Wongshuan smiled sweetly, took the gift box, and then casually placed it on the stone table. But she didn't really care. Her personal items were all custom-made by the Ren family, and as the Ren family's only daughter, every piece of clothing was custom-made by renowned brands. Yet, every time she came here, Jai Heng would make clothes for her. Ren Wongshuan naturally didn't like them, and the clothes were put into storage by her mother and never worn. Still no news about the young sister. Jai Xiaorong's gaze shifted away from the embroidery frame. He frowned, knowing little about Jai Mulan. She had been proud since childhood and didn't get along with him. Jai Heng picked up his smoking pipe. None. I heard Big Brother say that her daughter is transferring here. Jai Xiaorong shifted the subject away from Jai Mulan. Ren Wongshuan half listened to their conversation, catching the gist. This relative was 2 years older than her, currently a senior in high school. She listened for a bit, lost interest, picked up her phone to chat with a friend, and then raised her eyebrows. Senior brother, do you think? She might want to transfer here because she heard my grandfather is Ren Kaiyan. She typed and asked. Ren Wongshuan never wanted to speculate about others with malice, but she knew what Xiangcheng was like. The teaching intensity at Xiangcheng Middle School was average, but the Ren family would hire the best private tutors for her. However, those with even a slight connection mostly transferred to places like Baikeng to attend school. Who would want to come back? Just as Ren Wongshuan finished typing, Jai Heng suddenly looked towards the door. Alien is back. Jai Xiaorong paused, turning his body to look at the courtyard gate. A girl pushed the door open and entered. As the girl entered, it was as if a flash of lightning had suddenly streaked across the dark sky. She was wearing a light blue top with neat, orderly buttons, and the three-quarter sleeves were slightly wide with a white auspicious cloud pattern on the cuffs. Below, she wore beige casual pants that reached her ankles, embroidered with lifelike pink apricot blossoms that seemed to surge with her every step. In her hand, she casually toyed with a pair of white headphones, and a touch of red on her wrist was like a red plum in the snow. Jai Xiaorong's gaze fell on her clothes, and he instantly recognized that the meticulous stitches were the work of Jai Heng's hand. Jai Mulan really did give birth to a well-behaved daughter. This is your second uncle, Jai Heng introduced, pointing at Jai Xiaorong with his tobacco pipe for Bai Lian. Ren Wongshuan didn't look at the so-called cousin. She was still thinking about matters, so her expression was somewhat indifferent. When she noticed Jai Heng once again pointing at Jai Xiaorong with his tobacco pipe, she frowned slightly. She had been taught etiquette by instructors hired by the Ren family since she was young, learning the aristocratic etiquette of Jiangjing. Pointing at someone with a tobacco pipe was simply too vulgar. Even a servant in the Ren family wouldn't commit such a crude act. When she first saw Jai Heng take out a chipped blue and white porcelain bowl, as a child, Ren Wongshuan told Jai Heng that it was too dirty and unhygienic. She was severely scolded by Jai Shiorong. After that, Jai Heng never used that bowl to entertain her again, and bought a clean white porcelain bowl instead. But Ren Wongshuan also didn't dare to speak out of turn anymore. Today she could only suppress her feelings, then go home and complain to her mother, who rarely let her visit the Jai family. Bai Lian clasped her headphones, glanced at the second uncle Jai Heng had mentioned, and curved her lips into a smile, brimming with amiability. Hello. She didn't call him second uncle. Her voice was like the clear and spirited tone of a gently pressed piano key, and Ren Wongshuan subconsciously turned her head. She saw a pair of extremely beautiful eyes, clear and sharply contrasted between the black and white. Looking further down at the vintage clothing, Ren Wongshuan had not thought before seeing her that such outdated fashion could look so attractive on someone, even if Ren Wongshuan didn't want to admit it. She clenched her phone. "It's rare for you to come back," Jai Heng said, not one for many words. He broke the silence, telling Jai Shiorong, "Dinner here tonight." Ren Wongshuan took her gaze back. She stood up, her behavior very cultured. "Dad, I still have a private tutor class and can't be home too late." She glanced at the well in the courtyard from the corner of her eye. The Jai family used water from here. Though the well looked clean, she really didn't want to touch the water from this place. So every visit was brief, and she never drank the water Jai Heng offered her. Though Xiangcheng was off the beaten path, most of the area close to Xiangcheng had been replanned long ago, and the community had been equipped with sterilized tap water. Meanwhile, Purist Street remained the same year after year, with no construction, and the residents still used well water. Ren Wongshuan had never seen people using well water in this day and age. Jai Shiorong glanced at her. "Then you go back first. The driver is still waiting for you outside." "Oh, by the way," Jai Shiorong seemed to remember something, "Xuangshuan, this is your cousin. She's also in her senior year and is about to switch from arts to sciences. You two should exchange contact information." Saying this, he looked towards Bai Lian. "Alien, Xuangshuan is also studying science, and her grades are excellent. You can ask her if you have any questions." Bai Lian lowered her head, studying the headphones. She decided she would take them apart to see how they worked as soon as she got back to her room. After being called out, she lifted her head to look at Ren Wongshuan and slowly attempted to take out her phone from her pocket. Ren Wongshuan pinched her phone, holding the power button down to turn it off. "Dad, I'm 2 years younger than her. I'm 17 this year," she paused, then said. "I've been playing games just now and my phone is dead." "Hello," Ren Wongshuan faced Bai Lian squarely, very politely, and took out a certain fruit-branded phone, her manner graceful. "Then, let's add each other as friends next time." Bai Lian quirked her brow and withdrew her hand from reaching for her phone. "Sorry," Jai Shiorong also fell silent for a moment, then spoke softly to Ren Wongshuan. "You're in your senior year, don't play games every day." Ren Wongshuan didn't respond but nodded casually and then bid farewell to Jai Heng. As he turned around, his smile disappeared instantly, replaced by irritation and impatience. Could just anyone become a relative of the Ren family? Today, with Jai Shiorong present, Bai Lian didn't have to wash the dishes after dinner, as Jai Shiorong did it. Jai Heng watched him searching for the bucket. "The bucket is in the storage room, have you forgotten again?" Jai Shiorong smiled, and then looked around the courtyard before heading to the storage room. Jai Heng sat on a stool by the door, with paper and pen laid out on the table. Bai Lian had just taken off her headphones when she saw Jai Heng wearing glasses, sitting alone under the yellow light, his figure elongated by the shadow. She clenched her headphones in her hand, walked over and squatted beside his feet looking up. "Grandpa." Jai Heng paused in his work and looked down at her. "What is it?" "Here," she opened her palm to show him a little blue toy. "I got this with my bubble tea today." Jai Heng looked at the little blue rabbit in her hand and reached out to take it. "Look at this pattern, do you like it?" He showed Bai Lian the painting on the table. Bai Lian glanced at it. It was a meticulous traditional Chinese painting of plum blossoms, the yellow stamens distinct and lifelike. "It's beautiful." "Well then, I will submit it for printing tomorrow." Jai Heng shifted his gaze away and gestured for Bai Lian to return to her own business. "Go back to your reading. Remember to get up early tomorrow. Your uncle is taking you to school." He was talking about Jai Shaojun, whose school registration had already been transferred. "Oh," Bai Lian stood up, and as she went back to her room she made a request. "After that is mounted, can you stitch me a peony? I like peonies too. Make one for me next time." "You're picky now," Jai Heng glanced at her. After she went inside her room, Jai Heng stayed sitting where he was, motionless for a long while. Mounted on a frame. It had been so long since Jai Heng had heard this term. He seemed to have gotten used to people nowadays liking fashion, preferring high-end dresses and haute couture clothing. No one liked the flowers he embroidered, and no one appreciated the clothes he made. Even the ones he made for Jai Mulin, she didn't take a single piece when she ran away from home. He looked at Bai Lian's retreating figure, then lowered his gaze to the little blue rabbit in his hand. Inside the room, Bai Lian was in a good mood since she didn't have to wash dishes. She returned to her room, placed her opened headphones on the table, and the first thing she did was look up the book Jiang he had sent her. She opened Baidu and searched Jiangjing University Physics. However, the results were bizarre. There was everything except for the book from Jiangjing University and Jiangjing University Physics. She glanced at her phone screen, and there was even a result. Got 17 points in physics. Bai Lian. Good for you, classmate. She went back to WeChat, tapped on Jianghe's profile, and politely greeted. On the other side of the phone, Jianghe sat on the carpet, a life-size synthetic cabbage plushie in his lap, holding a 7-layered twisty puzzle in his hand, slowly working on it while the watch on his wrist chimed. He glanced at it and saw the message was from someone with a Xiangcheng building profile picture, his eyes lighting up. He threw away the pillow, tapped his smartwatch, and a slim, floating 3D page appeared with Bai Lian's message. "By Jian." Jianghe replied one character at a time, "By sister." "By Jian, I won't go to the library tomorrow, I have classes." Jianghe, okay. "By Jian, I can't find the book you sent, it's not on Jingbao either." Jianghe rested his chin on his knee, blinking. "Jianghe, I'll ask brother." He got up from the carpet to go to the study. Jiang Fulai was in a video conference. He wore a white lounge suit, leaning back with a relaxed posture, his pale fingers resting on the table, his light and lofty eyes half-lidded, exuding a sense of nobility and indifference. Upon seeing Jianghe, he slowly straightened up, switched off the camera and muted the microphone. "What is it?" Jianghe approached and showed him the watch screen. "Are you asking for her?" Jiang Fulai raised an eyebrow, his soft lounge suit making his coldness seem a bit diluted. Jianghe nodded. Jiang Fulai took from him the half-solved twisty puzzle. "I hear you want to go back with them." Jianghe nodded again. Jiang Fulai methodically restored the puzzle to its original state, casting him a glance in between. "You can't." Jianghe looked at his puzzle, this time not nodding. "Go back to bed." Jiang Fulai handed the puzzle back to him. "I'll have someone send the book over tomorrow." The delivery of his laboratory detector did not meet his standards this time. He needed a detector capable of sensitively sensing recoil nuclei. But the detecting medium in the laboratory was not large enough. So he was altering the design to ensure the detector was large, yet had a very low detection energy threshold. There was not much time. Conveniently, Jianghe had recently found a playmate, so he didn't need to be distracted by looking after him. After Jiang He left, Jiang Fulai finally withdrew his gaze, reopened the camera and microphone, and tapped the desk with his hand, calm and indifferent. Continue. The following day, at Xiangcheng Middle School, the largest high school in Xiangcheng, Bai Lian followed Jai Shaojun into an office. In the office, Lu Lingxi wore glasses, had short hair, and despite trying to hide it, there were visible whites in her hair. She looked at Bai Lian with a gentle gaze. "Bai student, can you tell the teacher why you want to switch to science?" "Why switch to science?" Bai Lian half lowered her eyelids, her lashes slightly drooping, long and curled, masking the darkness at the bottom of her eyes. If initially it was just about not wanting to see history now. "Curious?" she spoke quietly. "Curious?" This was a response Lu Lingxi hadn't anticipated. "Yes," Bai Lian said, looking at the computer on the neighboring office desk. "Like how I really want to know how computers transmit information." Her black pupils reflected the sun's rays from outside the window, resembling a lazy white cat. Things had changed, and no matter how frightened or unsteady she had been when she first crossed into this world. But she was earnestly exploring this era, and undoubtedly she was now filled with curiosity about it. Jai Shaojun was hearing Bai Lian's reason for the first time, and he couldn't help but tilt his head, looking at the serious expression on his well-behaved niece's face. After a moment of silence, he remembered how she had answered him last time. "Oh. So what?" Hesh giving him the runaround. "Good." Lu Lingxi looked at Bai Lian calmly, seeing her seriousness. "How about you do a set of comprehensive science papers for me to look at?" She found a comprehensive science exam paper on the desk. Bai Lian took 20 minutes to complete it and returned it to Lu Lingxi. Lu Lingxi was a language teacher. She took the paper and handed it to a physics teacher in the same office, asking him to help review the exam. Then she said warmly to Bai Lian, "Let's go, I'll take you to our class. There are a total of 20 classes in Senior 3, and we are in Class 15. Jai Shaojun followed as well. Senior 3 had its own building, with a total of 5 floors from top to bottom, 4 classrooms per floor, 2 stairways and offices in the middle. Teacher Lu's office was on the 2nd floor, and Class 15 was in the middle of the 3rd floor. As they passed a stairway, there was a girl in a school uniform coming upstairs with a composition book in her arms. Teacher Lu. "Ren student." Lu Lingxi adjusted her glasses and stopped, her voice tender. "Leave your homework book on my desk. Wait for me a moment. I have something to tell you." "Okay." Ren Wangxuan looked up, but her gaze fell on Jai Shaojun. She hadn't seen Jai Shaojun many times, but he looked similar to her father, so she could recognize him. However, at that moment, her attention was on the person beside Jai Shaojun. It was her Bai Lian. Ren Wangxuan paused, her mind racing with thoughts. Had she really transferred to this school? Did the Jai family ever mention the Ren family to her? Jai Shaojun saw Ren Wangxuan, and from her look alone, he knew what she was thinking. He calmly shifted his gaze away. He used to be kind to Ren Wangxuan. Once when he had a matter and wanted to ask Jai Shaorong for help, he went through great lengths to get through the Ren family's doors. Then, in the Ren family's trash can, he saw the drawing he had gifted to Ren Wangxuan. Since then, he had never visited the Ren family again. Lu Lingxi then explained in a low, smiling voice to Bai Lian and Jai Shaojun, sighing, "That's Ren Wangxuan. She's really very, very smart, skipped 2 grades in middle school. By student, you'll get to know her after 2 days in school. If there's a chance, you could ask her for some study tips." Ren Wangxuan did not care about Jai Shaojun. She smiled at Lu Lingxi, retracted her gaze, and headed to the office. After placing her homework book on the desk, she noticed a set of comprehensive science exam papers there, Class 15. At the front of the classroom stood a middle-aged man with a slightly rotund figure, his back curved as his hands rested on the lectern. Now, looking at this problem, what should we do first? We set the coordinates for this moving point M, using trigonometric substitution and the trigonometric identity, right? And what's the next step? Write down the coordinates of the other points as well. Then it becomes pretty obvious they're all collinear. Can we not determine the coordinates of point P? Isn't the slope of PQ now evident? Isn't it quite simple, right? The students in the class were dozing off, responding intermittently. Lu Lingxi knocked on the door. "Mr. Zia, I've brought a new student." Some students in class 15 languidly looked up, and in the light, the newcomer was seen wearing a simple white cross-collared shirt, embroidered with a tiny white poppy at the neckline, paired with a black horsehair skirt below. In her white blouse and black skirt, her black hair was neatly coiled with a wooden hairpin, and she had no other accessories. Her features were pretty, and she exuded a lazy elegance, giving her an irresistible aura. The math teacher momentarily felt as if he had time-traveled, as if he were in the Imperial College, and approaching him was his most spirited female disciple. She entered the classroom and spoke in the midst of a profound silence. "Hello, everyone. My name is Bai Lian." At the sound of bang, the atmosphere instantly exploded. "May I ask, lion from which lion?" A girl sitting in the back excitedly raised her hand to ask. Standing politely at the lectern, Bai Lian casually tilted her head upon hearing the question. "The lion, as in the vines of an emperor's home." "Wow, cool." Some boys even started banging on their desks and shouting. Some girls, seemingly composed, bowed their heads, but had already taken out their phones to frantically communicate in chat groups. "All right, calm down, you lot," Lu Lingxi said with a smile. "Bai Lian, take the empty seat in the fourth group." She looked at the girl with her head down by the window, her voice softening, "next to Yang Lin." Bai Lian walked towards the only empty seat in the classroom with her backpack. "If you need anything, you can come to me." Yang Lin spoke in a delicate and gentle voice, and after she finished speaking to Bai Lian, she kept her head down, continuing to do her homework. "Thank you." Lu Lingxi returned to the office. "Wangshuan, you'll have to write on the bulletin board at the intersection later." Ren Wangshuan had studied under a famous teacher since she was little and had good handwriting. Lu Lingxi was also partial to her. "Also, you're aware of the Jingjiang preparatory camp, aren't you?" Ren Wangshuan nodded. "I know." She didn't just know. Her grandfather was also actively communicating with a doctor from Jiangjing. Some schools use software from the preparatory camp to drill their top students with questions. Lu Lingxi spoke slowly. "Our school recently got a spot, but there's only one, so the school will decide who gets it after another month." The spot for Jingjiang preparatory camp was basically a guaranteed ticket to Jiangjing University. There were very few opportunities to get this software spot. Ren Wangshuan remembered that even Baikeng High School only had 10 such spots. She was surprised that Xiangcheng School actually had a spot. Ren Wangshuan was quite taken aback. "I understand, Ms. Lu. Stay a bit later after school. There's a training session targeted at those of you who can compete for the spot. That's it, you can go back," Lu Lingxi said with a smile, sending her off. Lu Lingxi was not only the homeroom teacher of class 15, but also taught Chinese to 3 classes, concurrently holding the position of grade director. She was in charge of all the significant issues of the senior year. "Ms. Lu, I've placed the transfer student's test paper on your desk," the physics teacher reminded Lu Lingxi. Lu Lingxi quickly put on her glasses and picked up the exam paper. "Let me take a look." The first thing she noticed was the handwriting on the paper. This handwriting. Upon hearing this, Ren Wangshuan slowed her steps. So that test paper belonged to Bai Lian. The physics teacher, holding his teacup, said with a smile, 85 points. The paper is simple. The score is a bit on the low side, but the fundamental knowledge is well learned. Ren Wongshuan paused at the door, a hint of mockery in her eyes. She closed the door, thinking nonchalantly, what a refined way the physics teacher phrased it. How is that a bit on the low side? In Zhang Cheng's initial exams, the science comprehensive is very simple, consisting entirely of basic questions, with a total score of 300 points, and in their class. There's no one below 150. In the office, however, Lu Lingxi was quite surprised. 85, that's also enough, Lu Lingxi said, holding the exam paper and smiling. You don't know, but Bai Lian switched from liberal arts to science. I thought if she could score 50, I wouldn't persuade her to go back to arts. She didn't have high expectations for Bai Lian, especially since she had switched from literature to science. She hadn't expected Bai Lian to score as high as 200. Lu Lingxi wasn't pursuing graduation rates either. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the video and comment down if anything wrong in the story, and if have any suggestion to a new novel or want next part of any series, comment down. Our target is to get 1K subscriber. There will be SUPRISC for all of you. Stay tuned.